What's going on, y'all? We back with another episode of School and Gang podcast. I'm here with my guys and the wonderful lady Courtney. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on?
How you doing? Hey, everybody.
Taylor's and Beans here. Biz couldn't be with us today. We're under the weather, but it's all good. We're still going.
Glad to be back. Been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a little minute.
In a minute.
It's been a minute.
What's the last thing y'all done?
We were just talking about it earlier. I think it's been weeks. Last thing we was talking about was when the whole Drake and Kanye beef was like at the height. That was
Lord.
That was it.
It was right before the project dropped, right?
Yeah, I think it was right before Drake's.
Yeah.
People in my comments still trying to fight me over it.
Over what?
I voted for CLB over Donda, and the girls are mad.
That was an easy call for me. I don't think Donda was very good at all, but that's just me.
Can you go comment under my post, please? Because they wilded.
Absolutely.
They were upset on YouTube. One dude was like, Drake only makes music for teenagers and women. And I was like, that's misogynistic. And a lot of men listen to Drake. And like, so are you saying that women and children are stupid? We can't understand Donda? Like, what? Okay.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I guess everybody's entitled to their opinion, no matter how wrong it might be.
They're wrong. And they're crazy. People out here wilding in these streets.
So since we're here already, before we get into the other topic, I was gonna ask you like, what did y'all think of Drake's album? Because we never got a chance to talk about it. So I don't know if y'all want to talk about it real quick. Like, what was your thoughts on it?
I mean, it was a Drake album. I'll say that. It's a typical Drake album. It's not the best he's done. He's not the worst he's done. So I mean, it was a solid album to me, at least.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I agree.
I think it's a solid project. I listened to it. I was actually listening to it yesterday again, just to like listen to it again. But yeah, I like the project. You know, y'all know how I feel. But I did like the project. Like it got some joints up there. So and he was barred up. You know what I mean? So, but like you said, it's not his best work, but it's a good.
But
project.
it wasn't Kanye's best work either, and that's the issue I got with it. I feel like when you look at the span of both of their careers, I expected more from Kanye. I did. And that may be selfish as a fan, but like, I just feel like Donda sounded incomplete and it sounded like it was not at all his best. And I think if Kanye would have come with his best against what Drake put out, it would have been a no-brainer that it would have been Donda, but that wasn't the case. CLB was more cohesive in my opinion and stuff. And I'm a Kanye West fan. I'm not even a big Drake fan. Like light-skinned dudes, we'll talk about them later, but I'm not a fan. Like I'm not a huge Drake fan. Like I like his mainstream stuff, but I think he's good for mainstream. When you think about a rapper, Kanye West is up there. So I feel like he could have done better.
Well, two questions just based on what you just said. One, why were you expecting his best? We haven't heard Kanye's best in a very long time.
I was expecting Kanye's best just off of the name. You put your mom's stamp on it, and we know how for him, even before she passed, right? Like his mom was at the center of a lot of things that he did, who he was. Like she made sure that he was a lot of things. So with that title alone, my bar was high for Kanye, even off of what he's done for the last few years. Because School and I talked about it, and we are just like, like this is better than some of the stuff he's put out over the last few years for sure. But because he was going back to like, because a little while ago he said he was no longer doing rap music, he was only sticking with gospel. So for him to say I'm gonna put out a rap album titled after my mom, the bar for Kanye was like, I was like, oh, we about to get like a Prince greatest hits. Like we about to get some quality hip hop music, and it just did not hit for that. So that's why I felt like it was going to be that, but it wasn't.
Just looking at
I get that. I think a lot of us were fooled. Me personally, I don't think we're, no matter what he tries to reach back to, no matter what his theme is, no matter what he's trying to get in tune with, we're never going to get anything like old Kanye. So maybe we'll get a new version of him that's great, but we're never going to get the Kanye that was giving us College Dropout and all that stuff. And of course, artists are going to progress and they're going to be different as they get older and go through life and different things. But I don't even think he can tap into that at all at this point in his career. I don't know, he's just kind of just out there to me.
Yeah, he's not there no more in his career, so we're not gonna get that back. You know what I mean? So,
but when I say tap into it, I don't even mean tap into that person. I mean tap into like that passion, because back then, like you could feel where he was coming from. It's real stuff he tried to talk about stuff he's going through now in Donda, but it just didn't feel the same. He wasn't coming at it the same way with the same.
Just can't relate to it. To College Dropout and Late Registration and stuff. Is that spans?
And I think, like, you know, mental health, because he discusses things like that, and I think that's major to talk about. But like you said, he's not reaching into that same bag of passion. Like if he was reaching into that college dropout passion and talking about his plights now, I think we would feel a lot differently about it. But and it's not fair, right? It's not fair for us to be like, oh, we missed the old Kanye. Like, it's not fair for us to do that with any artist, because they're supposed to evolve and become, you know, different versions of themselves, greater versions of themselves. I actually like the gospel Kanye. I feel like he got in that lane, he should have stayed there, because that twist on it, like for the way he was reaching back into the youth and like allowing them to listen to gospel music and soft R&B the way we heard it growing up, I think that was great. But yeah, he's not gonna ever get back to where he was at if he doesn't put aside like the surface stuff he struggles with. Because that even the Drake beef is like, Kanye, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why?
But I definitely understand what he was trying to do, kind of, because that album felt like he was trying to include a lot of gospel feel to it and trying to like mix the two worlds together. And if you would have done it well, it would have been amazing. But it just fell short for me. And I hated like almost all the features too. That's another thing.
That was the best part for me. The features were the best part. The features to me. I started where the features
we ain't got time today. We ain't got time for the amount of hate he has for the features. Now you good.
Oh my God. I'm like, damn, my bad. But I actually I dig the features, not all of them. And I feel like, again, there were spaces where you could tell there was stuff left off. Like, could you imagine Andre 3000 on, if Andre 3000 would have actually been on that album, I probably would have gave it to him just because, like, if you know music and you get Andre 3000 needs to come on and just give us the bars. I know he got stuff just sitting in the closet. Come on, you playing with my emotions, bruh. But yeah, it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I wish he would have named it something else, because I feel like if you're gonna go that hard, and even he went the way as hard as he went with those like album release parties and stuff like that, you were supposed to deliver. You were supposed to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me clarify, I didn't hate all of the features. There was just some I really didn't like. And I mentioned a bunch of them in the group chat, but I don't know. A lot of the newer artists, it's hard for me to find that connection between Kanye and them. I understand he wants to stay relevant. He wants to stay making music with the newer people, but it doesn't feel natural a lot of the time to me.
They didn't. Features just didn't mesh well.
Yeah, exactly. That was my main thing.
Okay. All right. I respect it.
But yeah, I don't want to get too deep into that. We came here for a reason tonight, so we jump into how y'all.
We talking about that next episode.
Yeah.
Probably gonna name the next one all the features that Beans hate.
Hey, it is what it is.
But yeah, you know, Courtney, Miss Diamond Head Arts over there. Also, Plug your podcast in right quick. Plug your podcast
Oh,
in right quick.
yay. I just started a podcast, guys. Check me out on Instagram. On Instagram at the Sour Patch or Sour Patch Podcast. And you can find episodes on YouTube. Come support me. It is very much me. It's my opinions. It's going to be a little sour, a little sweet, but we all family. So yeah, just y'all check that out. And you can follow me on TikTok too. But it gets spicy on TikTok. So unless you're ready, but if you're ready, it's Diamond Heart 7.
They let you back on TikTok? I heard
Diamond Head 7. Huh?
I said they let you back on TikTok. I heard you had to be off for a little while.
Yeah, they be hating. They be shadow banning me. They don't like when I talk, because I talk real stuff. I like to talk about, racism because it's real.
Nice.
And every time I post something that, make somebody mad, I don't know if they're reporting me or what, but I get shadow banned and my views drop like crazy. But we get in there. The algorithm likes me sometimes.
Nice.
So yeah.
The other day. The algorithm liked you the other day.
I don't know why. So let me just give y'all a brief. The other day I posted a video. I saw this woman, and you know how there's different sides of TikTok. So you'll be like, dang, how I get on, racist TikTok, or how I get on Black Talk, or how I get on Gay Talk. Well, I was on Gay Talk, and I saw this video of this woman who was gay, and she was doing like this challenge with a string, and I was just like, so I made a video stitching her video, and I just was like, y'all got straight single girls out here stressed out. Like, what are we supposed to do when we see stuff like that? We single, we ain't got nobody, and we like men, unfortunately. So it went off. The video went off, and everybody was just like telling on themselves. I had a married woman in the comments just like, I don't know why I'm laying next to him right now. And I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing, ma'am? Like, you snitching. So yeah, the algorithm likes me when it wants to, but it get crazy on TikTok. And my mom be up there and I'll be like, just don't look at my stuff, yo. Huh?
I said you got blocked, moms. I blocked on social media.
You blocked on social media?
No, I said I blocked all my family.
Oh, no, I'm not blocking nobody. You gonna take me as I am.
Touche.
I'm not blocking nobody. My mama knows. She raised me. She know.
So the topic actually, that kind of stemmed from TikTok too, right? The question was the men asking women what do they bring to the table, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you want to give a little background on how this topic came up, the video that started it, and all that.
Man, I've seen so many videos of different podcasts, different YouTubers having the discussion, but there was one in particular. I think they're a podcast, and I don't know if they're exclusive to like YouTube or if you can listen elsewhere, but I watched it on YouTube, and I saw a clip of it, and I went and watched the entire YouTube video because I had to find out more. And it was just this dude, and he was asking, well, like, basically, what do women bring to the table? And then it just sparked this whole thing across TikTok, and men were saying their side of it, and then women were just like, but wait, hold up. And I was just like, it's crazy. What was crazy about it for me is that it was exclusive to the Black community. You don't see white men asking white women what they bring to the table. And there's two sides to that coin, right? Because they don't ask white women what they bring to the table because white women were bred differently, right? White women were bred to be at home and I mean this in the most respectful way, right? If we go way back, they had slaves taking care of housework and children for them, right? So white women kind of got to relax, and that trickled over into the 50s when white men were getting these high paying jobs and working for all these corporations. They were CEOs and all of that. Their wives didn't have to work. But in the Black community, wives had to work. You know, they were the nannies and all of that, even after slavery and Jim Crow, all of these things. And so now here we are in 2021, and we got grown ass Black men asking grown ass Black women what they bring to the table. And it's like, how dare you? How dare you? And it really grinds my gears for a lot of reasons.
So
what was that?
Were they asking this like in a malicious way, like saying y'all don't bring stuff to the table, or it was like a genuine like, what do you think that you are contributing to your relationships type of thing?
It was a combination of both. I think that some men, after the malicious things came in, right, there were some men that were like, well, we actually want to know. But it's a loaded question, especially to a Black woman, right? Because again, we cannot ignore things like, you know, the war on drugs in the 70s and 80s, when Black men were being put in prison and dying at record numbers. So Black women had no choice but to step up and be head of household and do certain things, right? And I just want to preface that by saying also, like, if I even go back, two or three generations in my family, right? Or 2 generations, when my grandmother decided to divorce my grandfather and be an independent woman, right? I learned as a Black woman how to be independent from her and from my mother. You know what I'm saying? That independence of women in that era didn't die. It trickled down to us as millennials and now even Gen Z. And being married as a woman is not this thing nowadays where it's like, oh, I have to get married and have 5 children. Like, what? No, I want to be a CEO. Ho? Like, you know? So I feel like it feels like it was like a loaded question. So I feel like some people were asking genuine, but how can you as a man, right?
Yeah,
how can you genuinely ask that? If a man said to me, hey, outside of money, outside of foundation, what do you, and it's not what you bring to the table, shouldn't be the question. The question should be, what do you add to this relationship? Right? What do you add? If I'm a man and I'm bringing you my emotion and you know, my attention, my time, are you as a woman bringing that back to me? Are you reciprocal in your energy? Because that's what it should be, instead of what do you bring to the table? I am the table. I'm the legs, the chairs, the decoration on the table, the food that's there. I'm all of that. Why are you asking me a question such as what do I bring to the table?
Go
ahead.
I'm trying. I think to that last point you made, I think we at some point we need to like start from the beginning. We need to like get some background. But to that point you made about being the table, I think when women say things like that, I think it often turns men off when women make comments kind of like that. Mm. So I don't know. I'm trying to rephrase it
which is fine, but you turned me off, like not you literally, but as a man, you turned me off the second you asked me what I brought to the table. So now it's kind of like I'm reciprocating your energy. You asked me what I'm bringing to the table, and that's a turn off to a woman because, and I've been asked the question recently, and I refuse to answer it because my response was, why as a man do you have to ask a woman what she brings to the table? If you do not already see the value in a woman that you're dating, that you're actively dating and trying to insert into your life, why are you even messing with her? As a man, you should not have to, because as women, we're not asking men what they bring to the table. We don't ask y'all those kinds of questions because we look at your integrity, your character as a man, and we decide, okay, he's worth moving forward with. He's worth giving my time and energy to.
Well, okay, so I got two questions. First, is the issue with the wording, or is it what's behind the wording? That's asking like what you're contributing.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's
was
what
gonna.
I was gonna ask that too. What's the proper way to have that conversation?
I don't think so. Again, I'm gonna say this. So I think it's both the wording and what's the fact that
Behind
it's
it.
a loaded question, right? Because you aren't curious about what she's offering to help you, because I feel like men with purpose, right? You're looking for a woman who elevates you, and this is all not surrounding finances, but that question has become a thing of finances and, how do I say, like material items, kind of, right? So I feel like instead of asking a woman what she brings to the table, just simply saying, look, these are the things that I look for in a woman. I look for someone who's caring, who wants to have kids, who wants to be married. Are you that woman? Are you looking to your future for these things? Just simple conversation. Instead of asking her what she brings to the table, that's almost like saying you're expectant that I bring like other things to the table or whatever. And as a human, period, male or female, when you decide to be in a relationship with someone, it doesn't matter the external things. You're bringing yourself to the relationship, or at least that's how it should be. You should be bringing yourself. If someone can't accept you for who you are through and through, then guess what, baby, that's not your person. So I feel like asking that is all around a loaded question. I think it's a bit of, how it's worded and the push behind it. And I think a lot of Kevin Samuel like style men have utilized that as a tool to separate, right? Like to be like, oh, you're telling women they're not high value because they don't bring 150K to the table. What? Like that's, to me, that stuff is insane. So what's your second question?
Oh, so the second part is, at what point in the relationship is this question being asked? Are we talking about like I just met you, we're just starting to date, and I'm trying to figure out who you are? Or are we talking about we got time in now, and we're saying, okay, so long term, what are you bringing to my life? Because I think that makes a difference.
It does. And I can only speak for myself. I'm a person who like, I want to weed out the red flags early. So I do think that's a conversation you have early on. I don't think it should be worded by what do you bring to the table. I think as a man, if you're a man and you're actively in these streets dating women and and you're looking for someone special, right? Because every man isn't dating for marriage. But if you are seriously dating and you want certain things out of a wife, because that's your end goal, if you don't have a plan in place of questions and things that you want to know about a woman on the first, second, third date, why are you dating? That means you are why? Just be out here having fun, swipe right on Tinder, do whatever you want to do. But I think it is women such as myself who we are out here dating with a purpose. If we're dating, that when that question is asked, it's an insult, because I'm out here dating with a purpose. I'm out here. I could very well ask a man what he brings to the table, but I'm already judging and looking at your character by going on the date with you. That stuff starts at the first, conversation y'all have on text before you even go out on a date. Before you even get there, you should be asking this person certain questions. You ever been on a date with somebody who you don't click with and y'all just sitting there like, yeah, so can we get the check? Like, no, you you build up that conversation, you make it interesting. And if you're a man and you're not doing that and asking those questions in advance, and then you wait 8 months down the line to be like, well, what you bringing to the table anyways, and you as a man didn't see it, you're a clown, period.
So what I'm getting is that, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm getting is that you feel that it should come more naturally, and he should already be putting in the research and the work and to understand what you bring to the table instead of just flat out asking you as if he doesn't see it already.
It's more than that. Of course, if you want to know something, you ask. But if you're telling me 3 months down the line you don't know who you're dating, you know what I'm saying? Like you can tell if you're asking the right questions and you're dating properly, you can see someone's character way before they even show it to you. Like, and I'm not a man, so I don't know how y'all date and how y'all gauge certain things, right? The questions that you ask, but on that first date, I'm gonna be saying things like, how are your parents? Like, what are they like? Are they married? I'm gonna be looking for those things that I know could potentially come up later and be red flags. I'm looking for that. So there will never be a need. I always wonder what the need for asking a woman what she brings to the table, because every man is not high value. It's only women being asked that question. Why? Because y'all aren't, not y'all, but men aren't going out and dating properly. They don't really know what they want. Men will sit there and say that they want a woman who's gonna stay at home. She's not going out to club. She's independent. She has her own businesses. Then when she's making more money than you, you got a problem. You feel like you're being emasculated. So if I feel like if single black men, because again, you don't see people in other cultures asking this question. If single black men went out there and dated with a purpose, I think they will be able to see, oh, she's not for me, because she clearly said on date number 1, she don't want kids and I want 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a question that should be asked. And again, I feel offended because it's only black women being asked this question, as if black women aren't the top of the food chain in terms of like our graduation rates, the amount of black owned businesses. It's the head of those businesses. The majority is women. I don't know the exact numbers, but last time I checked, I think it was like 70% of black owned businesses are like the CEO of those businesses are women or something like that. Like, it's an insult to black women that black men have to ask us. Did you ask your mother what she brought to the table to your daddy?
So I'm hearing kind of two different things, because you're talking about us asking what the woman brings character-wise, emotionally, but you're also talking about financially and that type of way. So I don't think the question should be asked in that way, or even to that extent, definitely not down the line. But there are things about a woman that you're gonna want to know that you might not get out of them in the first how many ever months that are going to be crucial to the rest of your life. Like, if they don't have kids, you might have no idea how they interact with kids if you've never seen them kids in that amount of time. Or y'all might always go out on dates. She might have never cooked for you. You don't know what she could cook. You might be eating sandwiches for the rest of your life. So there are things that you're going to want to know that might not show up in those first few months, and you might still be wondering, is she that person? You shouldn't ask her in that way, but there's definitely going to be things you still might want to know, even if you know she's a great woman. She has great character.
And I agree with that. But those are questions you can ask. Those are things you can interact with her in a positive way about. Again, we go back to the conversation really being, I feel like a lot of men in this podcast that I watch in particular, the man said, he was like, I could hire somebody to cook for me. I could hire somebody to clean for me. I could hire somebody to do this, that, and the third for me. So what, as a woman, do you bring to the table if I've paid for the house, if I've done that? And it's just like the financial aspect. I do feel like it's important, right? Because you don't want to be married to someone your whole life struggling either. You don't want to go through that. So it is important, but I feel like a man just saying like he can hire someone to do all of that, but you cannot hire a woman to love you. You cannot hire a woman to speak life into you daily. The kind of things that women instill in men within a romantic relationship cannot be bought, especially Black women. I stand firm on Black women can push a Black man into his purpose with just her words and nothing else. Like I am a firm believer in that. So when you're talking about like what she brings to the table, well, what do you want on your table? Like you, again, I feel like if you're dating someone, even if you're dating them 6-7 months down the line, like if you as a man or as a woman, you haven't seen them interact with kids, you haven't seen them do certain things, and let's be clear, because a lot of us women have rules in place that we are not going to do certain things for men until they have proven that they're worth these certain things. And I feel like it should be the same for men. So you should not be, buying certain things if you're not sure about this woman. But there are steps to take to find that out. And asking her what she brings to the table is definitely not one of them. I'm not saying you should be playing games with a woman and putting her to the test about certain things. I think that communication is a big part of why men who swear they're high value are out here asking women that question.
I feel like it's just the wording of the question, because I think the information some people are trying to get by asking that question is the same information that they would get from wording it differently, or like you said, asking the certain questions and stuff like that. So I don't think it's the information he's asking for that's the wrong thing. I think it's just the way that they're asking. Because I mean, what do you bring to the table is a terrible way to ask the question, but essentially all the other ways that you said he can get that information is him saying, what do you bring to the table? He's just not wording it that way.
Yeah, you gotta know the questions to ask. Like I will say that I get what she's saying, because I used to not ask a lot of questions, and I used to not ask the right questions. And now like I'll ask things like, how was it growing? Like how's your relationship with your parents? How, you know what I mean? Like I'll ask certain questions now that if I would have asked, in the beginning, first month or whatever, like I wouldn't have been in situations that I was in. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand what she's saying as far as that.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it on that point. I was just saying that the phrase is mainly the phrase. If correct me if I'm wrong, it's the phrase, "What do you bring to the table?" that's triggering, not the information that they're asking for. It's just the phrasing of the question.
I do think that it is the phrasing, but even I hate to keep reiterating this, but this type of stuff only happens in our community. I've dated outside of my race before and never have even gotten questions that scratch the surface of like what you bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? The questions were always geared towards like, are you caring? And stuff like that. I feel like, are you looking to learn the character or the woman, or are you looking to, and this is why I just like, even yes, you can learn those things, like those surface things, but are you looking to see what her character is like or what she can offer you? That's why I think that's the issue with the question, because it automatically is like you're looking for what I can offer you, and you as a man haven't proven yourself, right? So yes, it is the wording, but it's also like Otis said, what's behind it, because you are not.
But why is there always the assumption that the man has at that point not proven themselves because they're asking that question? What if the man feels like he's done all the things that he needs to do and he's given everything, he's shown what he is contributing, and shouldn't ask the question that way, but you get to that point, you feel like, okay, so how are you completing what we're doing here? Why is it assumed that the man hasn't proven himself?
Right. And that goes back to my original question, that if you've spent time proving yourself and she's shown you nothing, you know who you're dealing with. You still don't have to ask that question. You should know, because
that's also slightly unfair just based on the point you made before, because you also said that there's women that are going to say, I'm not doing this, this, and this until we get to whatever point. So a man might not have seen what he's looking for because you got whatever rule in place.
But have you had that open communication with her where she's telling you? Because I would tell a man, hey, I'm not cooking for you because I don't feel like that's a wifely duty. I'm not your wife. You know, we can go out. I'm willing to date, but I can cook, but I'm not willing to cook for you because that's just one of my things. Are you having that open dialogue with the person you're dating, right? And asking those, like I said, asking those questions of what, that's, to me, that's a boundaries thing. As a man, if you're deciding as a man, right, you're like, okay, I can go out on dates because, first of all, if you ain't got no money, don't be out here dating. Both men and women, for real, not just men, but women too. Like, if you don't have money to date, don't be out here dating. It's foolish. But like, so if you're a man and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go on 2 dates a week, right? Each date, I'm not spending more than $200 on each date. So that's a 400. I'm not going above that or whatever. And you say to her, hey, this is the restaurant I want to go, you know, I'm going to take you to. And she's like, well, I don't like that restaurant. I want to go somewhere more. Are you going to sway just to take her out on a date, or are you going to hold your boundary, right? And say, well, this is where I stand my ground. This is what's in my, but you know what I'm saying? Open, honest communication. And I like, I, I just feel like it's more of, I don't know too many women who don't date with a purpose, but I know a lot of men who date just because it's the thing to do. When they're single, it's like, I could take her out here, I could do this, I could do that, or whatever, but there's no real purpose to it. Then they hit a roadblock and they might run into a woman that they're like, oh, wow, like, I'm really interested in her. And then you asking her questions like that, instead of taking the time to know, like, I'm dating purposefully, and I'm going to ask these questions ahead of time. You let somebody talk long enough, they'll show you who they are. So you shouldn't be down the road saying, like, I've done everything to prove myself as a man, but what do you bring to the table? If you are dating a good woman and you know you're dating a good woman, everything you give to a woman comes back tenfold. If she's a good woman, what you put out comes back to you tenfold. Every married couple that I know, they will say love is not the first reason they're together. Love is very far off. Like, it's things like communication and that person really having their back. And to have someone's back, you have to really communicate with them and tell them what you need and what you don't need. How many men you know that are married that are going to ask their wife what they bring to the table?
That are already married? Probably none.
Yeah.
How many of those men have asked
or
that
getting
question
married
in one way or another? Prior to that, I'm sure almost all of the men in one way or another have asked a question like that, but probably
Did you
didn't
ask?
word it that way.
Aren't
Not
you
that
married?
specific question.
Did you ask that?
But that's what I'm saying.
Or did you know?
No, I asked questions, but I didn't ask that question. I try to find out things by asking the right questions, but it's just that question formed better with other smaller questions over the course of time. So, and of course, certain things you don't have to ask because you see it, which is great. But there are a lot of questions that, and I was going to say earlier, men just aren't strategic enough in the way we go about asking things. I think we don't think things out the way that women do. Because when we're on our early dates and you're asking about what we do for a living, a lot of women don't care to ask, don't care if they ask how much we make and all that stuff. They're asking those questions basically to say, what do you bring to the table? They're just not saying, what do you bring to the table? So we just don't do it the right way. That's what it comes down to from my perspective of
it. I think and now, Courtney, I'm not saying this is how the question came up to you. I'm saying I think in some situations that question comes up as a rebuttal, because a lot of times guys go into dating and women come in the door requiring X, Y, and Z and make it very vocal what they require. And I feel like some men's rebuttal to that is, okay, well, if you require all this, what do you bring to the table? Not the best way to word it, again, but I think a lot of times that's their rebuttal to women. Like Otis just said, women come into dating and they know they want this, they want that. they ask the right questions, they know what they're looking for. And like you said, most women date with a purpose more so than men. And I feel like men sometimes get overwhelmed with, all right, she wants this, that, and the fourth from me. Then they're like, hold on, wait a minute. What does she bring to the table? And I think sometimes that's how that question comes up. Wrongfully so, the way it's worded. But I think that's how it comes up a lot. It's kind of I would say, a defense mechanism from being able to know what they
I would agree.
requires.
I definitely think that happens.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think, and so I feel like for men that happens to, do they realize that, oh, maybe I'm not ready to date if I'm asking these types of questions instead of asking her, do you want to be married? Do you want to have kids? Like, am I actually ready? That, to me, even that is kind of a double-edged sword, because now you're in a position where, do you even know what you really want? If she's coming to you like, hey, I require these things or whatever, and the first thing you say, all right, well, what do you bring to the table? It's like, it's still like, I don't know. Well, I don't know every woman in the world, but I know for me, I'm not gonna say my boundaries and say, this is what I expect, this is what I want, unless I know I can reciprocate those exact things. You will not ever hear me say to a man, right? Like, I got 250,000 in the bank. What you bringing? Like, I would never, but you might hear me say to a man, well, like, are you, like I said earlier, are you caring? How's your relationship with your mother? Just trying to fish those things out, because in my mind, I know I may not bring 250K, right? But I bring all of the other things. So that's my thing. Like, though, I feel like men who ask that question aren't really ready to be out here dating, because you have to ask that question for her to reassure you that you're capable of doing whatever she's required of you. And you've now got, like you said, it's a rebuttal, but it's an angry rebuttal. Every time I've heard men ask that on like social media and stuff like that, it's really like them being like,
It's a rebuttal.
nasty about it. Like, nasty about it. They're like, these bitches be out here asking, but what do they bring to the table? All they do is drink mimosas and wear wigs.
Not where
Like, for real, that's how they ask it. So, and I know some great men in my life, and I've never heard that question until recently.
I just want to press this. I've never asked that question before in that form ever.
He like, just in case, just want to let y'all know, I ain't asked that question.
I've never asked that question.
I don't think it's fair to say, but I don't think it's fair if someone uses that as a rebuttal to say they're not ready to date. I think, like Tills was saying, sometimes it becomes overwhelming. If a woman, especially in this day and age, a very strong, independent woman that'll come from day one and say, you got to be this, this, and this. Okay, so you start looking at yourself and say, okay, I check these boxes. The things I don't check, I'm gonna work on so I can be that person for her. But wait, hold on a second. Like, what are you bringing? I don't want to say what you bring to the table, but what's the like?
So the better way to, right? So the better way maybe to ask is like, okay, so you will require those things of me. Do you reciprocate?
But the problem with do you reciprocate is everybody doesn't need the same things. So if you might say, I'm not going to ask you for anything that I can't give, but those things you're asking for might not be as important to me. So it's not necessarily complete reciprocation, but can you do the things that I need? And the guy should be able to express those things as well in a better way.
Without saying, you just said it perfectly, without saying, what do you bring to the table?
Right. Yeah. I think we're all on the same page.
You would rather
It's the wording. Is the wording
you would rather just say, like, she tell you her requirements. You would rather him be like, these are my requirements.
Right, because that's open, honest communication. That's how you date. That is how you date. Like, you date with, I'm not going on no date with no one who I, like, if I sit there and I say, because you should leave that date with one or two things. You should leave that date knowing you want a second because you've enjoyed the conversation, the character behind that person, or you should leave knowing, hell no, never again. Block them on everything. You know what I'm saying? That's what dating is about. Like, that's what it's for. I I do understand that, you know, you may get like Otis said earlier, you may get some months down the road and you're not seeing certain things, but I still pose the question, like, are you not seeing those things just because you know in the back of your mind that person isn't capable or isn't willing to do those things? Have you asked? Or are you just like, have you started, truth be told, have you started smashing and you decided, oh, I'm gonna ignore those red flags. I'm gonna ignore the fact that I seen her with 2 kids and it was a disaster. Like, I'm gonna ignore the fact that Shorty made oodles and noodles and burnt them. I'm gonna ignore that because I already smashed. You feel me? Like,
Oh,
dating with a purpose.
I can't ignore the food shit. I already told you about that. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't cook, like that's, I'm not asking you to cook, but like if you like you want to cook for me one day and you can't cook, like, nah, dog. Like, I like food.
Well, wait, but
Like,
but going back to her point earlier, she was saying there's going to be certain people that have whatever boundaries or whatever, and they're saying, I'm not going to cook for you up to this point. So at what point do you get to say, okay, I don't know if you check this box for me because you got these things that you're unwilling to do until a certain point? How are you going to know
Right.
if they got? And another point just to that, you said men also should do the same things, but that's kind of unrealistic. If I'm coming to a woman saying we're on our first day or second date, I'm only paying this much money, a lot of times you're going to get pushback and you're going to be like, oh, he's cheap, oh, he doesn't want to do this, he doesn't want to do that. So men don't necessarily get to have the same hard line standards as women do when it comes to dating.
Okay, so, and I'm not saying you have to say to her, nah, ho, I was only planning on spending 200. My thing is take initiative. If you know as a man that your budget is at a certain price point, plan the date out. That gives you control of the situation. I think a lot of men miss out on that opportunity. Like, you know, we joke all the time saying that women never know what they want to eat. And yes, I'm one of them. And like, but take the initiative. If a man tells me, hey, like, this is the restaurant I want to take you to, I don't know if that's in his budget or not. Like, that it's a first date. Like, most women will not be like, no, but you will run into some crazy people. But like, it's just taking the initiative. But you are right, men don't always have that. But that is a man knowing himself and knowing those boundaries. And again, are you dating with purpose? Because you are not going to allow anyone to take you off your pivot, no matter which way they're going. To me, when people push your limits or your boundaries like that, they are showing you automatically that they are not your person. Nobody should be pushing, especially in dating. Nobody, if you say to a woman, I don't want to have sex until 5 months down the line, or I don't want to have sex until we're both tested, we could go get tested together, whatever it may be, and she's like, well, I don't want to wait, isn't that going to be a red flag for you? You know what I'm saying? So it's just, again, it's having that open and honest communication and being honest with self. Like, as a man, again, I know very few men that are like, these are the boundaries I set for myself in the dating world, and this is what I'm going to stick to, and this is what I'm going to follow. If more men thought like that, I think that they would have an understanding. Like, you would know what you're looking for. I feel like a lot of men know what they're kind of know what they're looking for, what they want. Like he said, if she can't cook, it ain't for me. So that's a hard limit for him. Have those hard limits and know that, like, if you get on the first date, if you pick a girl up for the first date, she drunk already, you staying? Like, no, you're gonna be like, maybe next time, shorty. Like, you have to know yourself and put these things into place for yourself as a man. And I just want to say, it was all light-skinned men asking that question, and I feel so mad about it.
Yo, I was gonna get back to the light skin shit. I almost forgot. I'm glad you went back to it. I was about to say, yo, what was the shit with the light skins?
Because light-skinned men were the majority of light-skinned men were
Did you say the
asking, and it
light-skinned
pissed
network?
me off. No.
I think you said the
No.
light-skinned network.
Light-skinned man. The majority of men that were saying it, or that were pissed off, or that were flexing their muscle about it, were light-skinned. And I'm like, first of all, Y'all let her craft macaroni and cheese or macaroni and cheeses. Why are y'all asking black women anything?
Niggas, they craft macaroni.
Craft. Like, why? Why?
Yikes.
Why are y'all asking women? Why are y'all doing this? Why are y'all doing this? You look uber light skinned by asking. It was all light skinned men, and I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed. Because why? Like, yes, it is a black community thing. It really is. I haven't seen. It was been on the shade room and everything, and it's always been black people going back and forth about why you asking black women this. A black man who dates a white woman, he don't ask the white woman that, right?
I don't know. I've never dated a white woman before, so
Me either. But
They're not asking. They're not asking white women that. It is exclusive to black women. And I know that black women have this reputation of being like so independent that it steps on a man's toes. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like if you put a plan in place and you are a man dating with purpose, you will run into that right person where you're gonna see she checks all, most if not all of the boxes that you put out there for yourself, but you got to create those boxes without having to ask a woman what she brings to the table. That's how I feel. If you are dating me 6 months down the line and you are like, if I bring up, like, hey, you're doing this and I don't really like that, and you fire back at me, well, what do you bring to the table? And we were talking about your lack of communication. I'm going to instantly be turned off and be like, what? Like, where did that come from?
that's fair. We got a separate episode on like relationship triggers because clearly this is what this stemmed from, just triggers of dating.
Dating is trash. There's piss in the dating pool.
It's just hard because everybody comes from different places, different experiences. They have different things they're looking for. So it's just hard to mesh a lot of times, which is, we're all different. So
That's the married guy.
Right. Like,
I've been through it in the past. So
I saw a video where they were just asking. Yeah, for sure. I saw a video where they were asking different women, like, hey, does money matter in a relationship?
I seen that.
Do you know? Yeah. You saw all the women of color were like, no, it doesn't really matter. I'm willing to work with a man. Black women and women of color fall in love with potential of the man. And it should not be that way. But all the white women were like, hell yeah, money matter. He ain't got it. He ain't got it in the bank. He ain't got me. Period. And it's crazy because black women aren't even afforded the flexibility to say something like that. If we say something like that, we have to be a high value woman. We have to be about something in order to say like something of that magnitude.
Facts.
It's sad.
So just kind of build on that. I know we don't got that much time. At what point in the dating process do you think it's okay to start talking about finances? Because a lot of times I see, along with that, what we're talking about today, the other thing I see the most is how should bills be split in the household? Should it be 50-50? Should it be 60-40? That's the other thing I see all the time. So at what point in dating should that conversation be allowed? Because it does tie together.
You're going to need a whole episode, bro.
No, I'm just saying, this personal opinion.
I can answer. I think finances should not be talked about in a relationship until you're living under the same roof, until you have to split costs, until you have to make us an hour. You shouldn't be I'm not telling you how much I make, how much my rent is, if you don't pay it, baby. Period. I feel like, and before you get mad, before you say something,
I'm not mad, I'm just perplexed.
If we live under separate roofs and I am capable as a woman and you're capable as a man of handling your things and we're just dating, that's all that is. We're dating. When we decide to take it a step further and live under that same roof, then yes, we have to talk about finances, because I'll be damned if I come home and the water cut off or the lights are cut off because homeboy didn't pay the bills. You feel me? Then it becomes an hour issue. Even if you, and I will go a step further to say, even if you give a person your key, like say if you've been dating for 2 years and you're tired of having to let them in, come home from work on break and let them in or anything like that, and you give them a key. If they still have their own bills to pay, y'all are not discussing finances that don't include the both of y'all. Y'all talk about, oh, we're going to take this trip here and we're going to pay this, pay that. That's fine. But you should not be discussing what is going into someone's bank account and what is going out of someone's bank account until y'all live under the same roof or until y'all are married.
Oh, you go first or I'm going first?
I mean, like School said, this whole topic could be a whole nother topic. I mean, we can give quick thoughts, but I was kind of surprised by that. Go ahead, Tiff.
Me personally, I just would say that finance is something, if you're planning on living together, that's something that should be talked about, I mean, prior to. Not
Right.
as far as you're able to afford it or not, just far as like, is it going to be, I pay the mortgage or I pay the rent, you pay the bills, am I paying the whole thing? We're going 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wait till you get under the roof to talk about that stuff and then you have a disagreement on how things getting paid, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like under the roof. If y'all are planning to, if y'all are like, hey, I'm paying rent over here and I'm doing this and we want to live together, yes, you have that conversation before y'all move in physically.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but once y'all are on that track, y'all are, you have to have that conversation. But I'm just saying, like, if y'all are going to continue to live separately and just date, no.
Yeah. And I understand what you're saying. Like, if you understand, like, all right, he's living on his own, he's paying his bills, he's paying his rent. You have some kind of understanding, like, all right, he's financially stable to a certain extent to you can rely on him to live together and support at somewhat, whether it's 50, 100%, whatever of it financially. So I understand what you get by that. Well, not exactly talking about how much you make per se, but having an understanding, like, all right, this person's financially stable, they're living on, they have a job, yada yada yada.
Right. And I don't think you should, like, that moving in together, especially when you're not married, like, you can't force that on anybody. Like, that has to be a mutual decision, because what if he deems her not financially stable and he don't want to move? I heard a Breakfast Club call in a couple days ago and he was just like, I don't know if I want to, Shorty is pushing me to live with her, but I don't know if I want to do that. Like, again, that goes back to open, honest communication and knowing, like, your boundaries. For me, I don't want no roommate. If he ain't my husband, I don't want no roommate. Like, but that's a boundary that I put in place. So I'm not going to be telling anybody what my finances look like until that time comes, and I think that, but that's fair. That's how it should be. That's dating. When you talk about, moving, you on a whole nother level when you discuss, like, moving in with each other and stuff like that, because you could even give somebody your key, the spare key, and y'all still just dating. And I still don't have to tell you how much I'm making, or how much I put in, or, you don't have to tell a person anything you're not ready to discuss. And a lot of relationships nowadays are so superficial that having those conversations are made scary. But you're about to set the rest of your life up with this person. Why would you not have these discussions, Period.
We might have to do another episode. We got a few more topics to talk about. Huh?
I told you we could do a whole nother episode of relationship.
Yeah, no, we definitely got some more topics to talk
Or we
about.
just doing Courtney's pod and do it up there.
Yeah,
yes, I would love to have y'all up there.
Yeah, we should.
I think that would
Return
be
the
dope
favor.
to do a joint episode.
That would be dope. I'm
Sounds
with
amazing.
it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
I love to stress y'all out. It's my
always
pleasure
bring
to
it.
stress y'all out.
You always bring great
On this
material,
segment.
so we appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks. I
definitely.
appreciate that.
Definitely do.
Hopefully it reflects on mine. We only on episode 2 and they're struggling already. The ghetto.
That's all right.
You just gotta find your lane, find your way. It takes a while. It took us a while.
Word.
We couldn't even get the Wi-Fi right at the beginning, so we.
Oh Lord. I need
Yeah,
we still recording. Otis, I
Yeah.
need help on trying to figure out how to work, like how to get it on Apple Podcasts. Oh, I got a call coming in. I have to go, y'all.
All right, I'll inbox you.
All right, cool. Y'all have a great night.
You
Bye.
too.
you too. Thanks
Thanks.
for joining us. But yeah, this was a good episode, man. We had a good conversation. She had a lot to say about it, and we would love feedback in the comments, and hear what everybody's thoughts are, how y'all feel about that question. If it should be asked, if it shouldn't be asked, or if it should just be general conversation. So, leave us some feedback in the comments. I'm sure you guys will. And yeah, you guys got any closing words?
Nice. I always like to be able to pick a woman's brain about stuff like that because as men, we're gonna feel a certain type of way. We're not even gonna realize some stuff we say is comes off a certain way to them. So it's always good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's it.
that's true. Yeah, so check us out next episode. Check this episode out and stay tuned. Also follow her on Sour Patch Podcast.
Thanks.
She had me up there a few days ago, and it was a good conversation. Talked
Nice.
about some personal things in my life that if you guys go check it out, you'll hear about it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
yeah, definitely check it out. And yeah, we're gonna catch y'all next time.